It's time for the 60 Parsecs review for the PC. My sister gifted this game to me for Christmas, and after telling me a synopsis of what it was about, I was quite interested to play it, so let's see how it turned out. This review is going to be a bit brief. Aside from the game being a little short in general, there's not much to show an audience. Honestly, I was telling my brother that this is probably the worst type of game to show for a review. Why? Because it's basically a text adventure game. When you begin, you get to pick a character to play as who is aboard a space station orbiting Earth. You're then given 60 seconds to run around and grab as many items, materials, and crewmates as you can, or want, within the station and return them to your escape pod. As you make your escape, the space station is hit by a nuke and you're shot 60 parsecs away, which is a little more than 195 light years away, seeing how a parsec is 3.26 light years and you multiply that by 60. Hooray for math! After you escape, the main game begins, and honestly, what you're looking at is pretty much it. Other than the escape, the game is basically a single frame showing you, your crewmates, and all the items you collected. The point is to figure out how to survive as long as you can and eventually reach an ending that is preferably considered a win for you. The game progresses by days, and each day you'll be given a few choices of what you can do to help you not only survive, but progress towards a good ending. Humans need food to survive, and making sure you have enough for everyone is critical. Your onboard computer is an AI that will give you certain choices on a daily basis, and has its own sense of humor, albeit dark at sometimes. Some of these questions will be based on your character's traits, such as how they fare with strength, agility, or intellect scenarios. Some questions will focus around using a specific object that you may or may not have at the moment. You have a crafting module aboard the ship which you can use to craft certain items you may or may not have been able to acquire during your escape. Like here, I craft some duct tape one day, then soon after I'm given a scenario where duct tape can be useful, so I choose it as an option and I'm rewarded the next day for doing so. Most scenario choices seem to be random, and the game doesn't care if you have an item or not to trigger questions based on items. Some questions are simpler yes or no scenarios, but it's not always easy to figure out which option to choose, as the result could be different than what you expected. You'll eventually find a planet to land on and continue your adventure from there. This is better than drifting in space, as you can send crew members out on expeditions to hopefully bring back resources. Equipping them with certain items before they go can affect and change their outcome. Like here, my crewmate was wearing armor, and good thing too, as they slipped on some sharp rocks which ruined the armor but kept them from being injured or worse. If you're able to reach an ending that is beneficial for you and your crew, you've won this campaign. The captain you choose in the beginning can determine the difficulty based on their physical stats and their own unique goals you try to accomplish. The items and crewmates you take with you also determines how easy or difficult things can go for you. I found out quickly that it's best for me to not have a full crew, as that's many more mouths to feed, and if you're using the crafting module to just make soup constantly, you won't be able to do much of anything else, and you only delay the inevitable, which is ultimately dying and getting a bad ending. The graphics remind me of watching a cartoon on Nickelodeon. There's not much to say about it, since the only real scenery changes are when your characters are in different poses or have physical ailments, or when giant death robots come aboard. Control-wise, other than escaping in the beginning, it's all point and click. There's not much else to talk about. I will say that I like the many different questions and scenarios that would pop up, and there's quite a bit of replayability, which mostly comes in the form of choosing a different captain to begin with, and which items and crewmates you take with you. After a while of playing, you begin to see the same questions come up though, and it becomes very easy in choosing the correct answers, just as long as you are able to choose them. There are two other modes of gameplay which change things up some, but it's foundationally the same thing. If you're looking for something unique, something different, something very old school in terms of gameplay style, this game can provide that, and it's overall a fun adventure. This game gets a 3.75 out of 5 with the title of good.